On the 30th of July 2009, Sussex Police Authority convened their first meeting since April. There had been recent changes to the authority, with 2 more to follow. This is the current membership. The meeting started, and after nearly 4 minutes of welcomes and congratulations, agenda item 1 required a change of chairman. The Chief Executive said,
we invited nominations for Chairman of the Police Authority. Dr. Laurie Bush, the present Vice Chairman, has been proposed and seconded for that appointment, and no other nominations have been received. Therefore, may I ask the authority formally to agree to the appointment of Dr. Laurie Bush as Chairman of the Sussex Police Authority.
Thank you. So the unelected Bush was accepted as Chairman. Agenda item 2.
Nominations have been invited for Vice Chairman of the Police Authority, and Professor Gordon Bull, Mr. Bob Tidy and Mr. Steve Waite have been proposed and seconded for that appointment. It therefore is necessary for members to take a vote.
There was to be a secret ballot. At least 50% of the members, that is at least 9, were, according to the regulations, supposed to support any winning candidate, so at least one of the elected members of the authority would have to vote for him.
The outcome, Chairman, of the first ballot is that the lowest candidate receiving the lowest number of votes is Mr. Tidy, so he is eliminated, and it becomes necessary for members to vote again between Mr. Bull, Professor Bull and Mr. Waite.
Well, wait we did for nearly 5 minutes, then the screen went blue and mute. More than 6 minutes after that, this happened.
In the Eastbourne area. So if members are agreeable, again I suggest the Chairman might be authorised to agree an appointment after consultation. Is that agreeable? Thank you very much.
Whether the regulations were complied with, I cannot say. Only by checking the SPA website later did I discover that Waite had been the successful candidate. We move on now to agenda item 19, the report from the committee which used to be known as the Complaints Committee. The Professional Standards Committee met on the 15th of July. Its membership, according to the published agenda for the meeting, is on your screen now. According to the minutes of the meeting, 3 of those members attended on this occasion. Rogers seems to have been a mistake, as he is no longer listed as a member of the authority. Vice Chairman Bratton was not there, Bush failed to attend, and Shaves did not turn up. Bull was appointed Chairman and reported to the authority.
Very rapidly on to Professional Standards Committee. Thank you, Gordon, who chaired that one, I think. And I'm going to report briefly to us.
For at least the 3rd time during the meeting so far, Bull failed to turn on his microphone. Only by applying an extraordinary degree of amplification to the audio signal, with ambient noise competing with the voice, is it possible to make out what Bull is talking about. I had thought that authority members only examined complaints registers, but Bull spoke of those of us who looked at the police files. He declared that some of those complaints drag on and on and on, involving more and more police time and clearly never going to go. He said there are other professional complainants whose job in life is to write yet another letter complaining about the last letter that he wrote. Presumably the epithet professional is not to be taken literally, but is just a way of being abusive about some members of the public. Bull said that members wanted to stop such complainants at a very early stage, but suggested, wrongly, that legally the police just have to keep going. One wonders whether they examined police files at random to get an overall picture, or whether the police drew certain files to their attention to illustrate a point the police wanted to make, in which case Bull might be acting as little more than a ventriloquist's dummy. If you watch for Bull's microphone light to come on, you might see who made the end of the speech properly accessible to the public.
Very frustrating to see these enormous files before you and really feel that you're powerless to help the police to get rid of what are clearly, in many cases, unjustified and really there for the benefit of the complainant who obviously likes that kind of thing. I mean, they appear to be professional complainers. We don't have a solution, but we are beginning to discuss that anyway.
There were 3 respondents to the report. The first, the Chief Constable, is not a member of the authority.
I'm pleased the discussions are ongoing because it's an area that I've not had hands-on involvement with for about 4 or 5 years now, but just talking to Giles, there is a standard form of letter which says, in response to the 3rd persistent complaint, I will not be responding to any further. Yours sincerely. Now, I'm not sure if I'm on the detail here, so I've whispered that to Giles as well, so we'll look at that as a prospect.
4 or 5 years takes us back to September 2004, when Richards became Chief Constable of Wiltshire. 18 months later, the Independent Police Complaints Commission upheld complaints by the family of a woman whose throat had been cut and reported that there had been systematic failure by the Wiltshire force. Richards said he was deeply sorry for mistakes and wrong decisions made at the time. 2 years after Richards' arrival, Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary published a report on the Wiltshire force. To summarise the findings, the report published a table from which I have extracted 4 categories and how they were graded. Neighbourhood policing and problem solving, poor. Managing critical incidents and major crime, poor. Tackling serious and organised criminality, poor. Protecting vulnerable people, poor. The report defined the meaning of poor. Presumably this unacceptable performance led to complaints from the public, and presumably Richards left it to his underlings to defend the mistakes and wrong decisions whenever they could. Next, the slimy Bush had his say.
It's worth recognising that it is a credit to the police, the lengths to which they will go to attempt to resolve those problems, and that's very worthy, but you're absolutely right, they need encouragement to finish them at early stage.
Lastly, Walker, who had attended the committee meeting, looking rather different from her website photograph, comments, on one issue.
Yes, just continuing on from that point with Gordon, and again going back to my point about getting outcomes from sort of interventions that the authorities involved in. It is something that we're working very closely with Cliff Parrott on, and there's one issue in particular that to date has cost about £30,000. The process around the complaining, and so if we can get an outcome around that, a positive outcome around that, then that will be serving the people of Sussex in a much better way, and certainly some of the police time in this particular case, it's taking away precious police time from all the other people in that community. So.
Whether policeman Parrott could be more profitably employed doing something else, we shall probably never know. My own complaints about Sussex Police, about dishonest and corrupt police officers, were met with institutionalised dishonesty by Sussex Police, led by Detective Inspector Preddy of the Professional Standards Department. From the foregoing, it is evident that a more honest response from Sussex Police to my complaints is unlikely while the present Chief Constable and authority members are in place, so I shall continue to monitor their performance.